In this brief video, we will show you how to use JMeter to create tests featuring shape request profiling. This is useful when you want your test to more accurately simulate real-world scenarios with predictable but variable traffic patterns. While it is easy to configure simple ramp-up and ramp-down patterns for thread groups, it is more challenging to create complex profiles. For instance, you may want to simulate a spike of requests at a particular point in your test. There's a package called Custom Thread Groups which extends this capability and allows you to create shaped requests in an intuitive way. Let's create an example test that performs this. Once we have the JMeter GUI open, let's make sure that these plugins are installed. We can do this by opening the Plugins Manager under the Options menu and selecting Plugins Manager. A shortcut for getting the desired plugin would be to search for Thread Groups under the Available Plugins tab. Here we can select Custom Thread Groups and click on Apply Changes and Restart JMeter. Once JMeter has restarted, we can begin constructing our sample test. We will go ahead and add one of these newly installed thread groups, in this case, an ultimate thread group. The first thing you will notice is the intuitive graphical display at the bottom of the configuration page for this thread group. It will become clearer what this is showing once we add some entries to the thread schedule, so let's go ahead and do that. Here we have constructed a gradual ramp up with a stepped shutdown. The x-axis represents the number of concurrent active threads, while the y-axis represents the elapsed time of our test, going from left to right. Let's say we want to simulate a brief spike in requests right in the middle of our load test. We can simply add another entry to the thread schedule and configure the parameters to achieve this. The last row in the thread schedule defines the spike, which you can see occurring at the 1 minute and 10-second mark. Now that we have defined the request profile, let's configure some samplers so that our test performs something useful. Since this is a demonstration test, we will add several dummy samplers which will provide some interesting results. In an actual test, these dummy samplers would respond to real requests against an HTTP endpoint. Finally, so that we can see our results in the JMeter UI, let's add a view results tree element. Our test is now ready to run. Just reviewing the request profile in our configured ultimate thread group, we can see that this test is expected to run for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's start our test and see the results. Here you can see that our test is completed and the results are visible in the view results tree. In one final demonstration using this test, we can try running it on a cloud platform. To prepare for this, we will disable the view results tree as this can have adverse performance implications when running production tests. Using a managed service such as Redline 13 is a great way to not only run your test in the cloud, but also abstract the setup and management of your test. In other videos, we cover the basics of configuring and running tests on Redline 13. Here we are more interested in the results, so we'll focus on that for now. Let's go ahead and load our test into Redline 13. Since this is a basic test, we can use the default options. I've uploaded my JMX file, and I've selected one server to run on, using JMeter version 5.4.1. Let's click Start Test. It will take a few minutes for our test to start and run. Now that our test is completed, here are the results of our test. You can see that we've run 300 threads and roughly 75,000 requests in 2 minutes and 46 seconds, which roughly corresponds to our planned duration of our test. I'd like to call particular attention to the graphs, which should approximate our load profile that we have set up. You can see that here. For more videos on JMeter and running tests in the cloud, be sure to check out our YouTube channel.